Okay, well, welcome everybody. What we're going to do today is we're going to show you how to change the CV joint and basically the whole axle assembly on, this is a Hyundai Elantra. Okay, so the first thing we've got to do, obviously take the wheel off, but we've got to undo this big castle nut and we've got to remove the split pin. Perfect. To get that loose, we had to have somebody put their foot on the brake pedal, and I needed to put a big extension bar on it to get it loose. But once you've got it loose, it'll come off. Now the next thing you want to do is to take the nut off the top of that lower ball joint and then remove the whole steering assembly from the bottom of that. Okay, to get these off, we normally just, if you don't have the right tool, which I don't, you give them hit them with on the side of it with a hammer. Okay, we had a bit more trouble than I thought. We had to take the two bolts out of there as well. And once we did that, we could just pull this up out of the way and slide the shaft out of there. Okay, normally these things just pop out. Oh, nice and easy. That's it, pops out and you'll be able to just pull it out. I've just put a little bit of grease on both of these splines. I don't know if you really need to, but on this end it certainly makes it easy to go quicker. But that end's actually theoretically sitting in oil, although no oil came out of the gearbox, which is a bit of a concern. Okay, to put it all back together, we didn't film putting it back together because we struggled with it a little bit because it just wanted to fight all the way. But the shaft will slide back in fairly easily once it gets lined up into the gearbox, and this just pushes back through the way it came out. Don't forget to tighten these things up. I'll put these things back on. Now, you really should use a torque wrench to do these things up properly, which we will do, but we'll need to have somebody's camera one on have his foot on the brake. Use a tension wrench. This one gets done up to 195 newtons, I think it is, the scale on there. We'll do that. Don't forget to put the split. When we did this, the video wasn't very clear as to how I levered that out. I just put the crowbar in between the CV and the gearbox and it just pops straight out. You can also do this with a big screwdriver if you want to. Another thing yesterday was it wasn't real clear how we put all this back together, but that shaft just does slide back into the gearbox first, and then you need to negotiate it back into the inside of that brake assembly there. And it does take a little bit of mucking around, but it does go in. I have done this probably a dozen times on our race cars that we run. Once at the track, and it took about 10 minutes to change the shaft. It was in an XL, slightly different car, same setup, exactly the same setup. It turns out this car had all sorts of wrong on it as to things like the sway bar, if you can see that in there's broken off. That was just constantly in the way. If that's connected properly, it won't be in the road so much. And that was the CV that was making all the noise. You can buy them as a new part. I've just in the past got ours from Australian CVs and Power Steering, and I'm going to give them a bit of a plug because we had one of these break on our race car that was brand new, and I took it back to them wondering what had happened, and they showed me what actually did happen. It was this part of the car in here that actually broke the end of the shaft off. I wasn't actually after warranty or anything. They explained what happened and they just given me a new drive shaft, which I thought was pretty good of them. So you can't beat the customer service in my opinion. So that was from Australian CVs and Power Steering, and they are down at Slacks Creek. So if you want to exchange these, if you're doing CVs and drive shafts, take the whole thing down to them and they'll exchange them for an XL. I think they're around about $100. Anyway, I hope you've learned something. See you next time.